I think we're going to get started. So welcome to the graduation celebration for the Community Studies class of 2013. A lucky number, it turns out. Included today also are students who are not graduating, who have completed all the requirements for the major, but will be graduating officially next year. I just wanted to say that. Welcome everyone. That's the main point. I'm Mary Beth Putup. I'm an associate professor and director of the Community Studies program. So this is graduation weekend, and it's special. It's always special, of course, because graduation is a significant life achievement for individual students, for their families and loved ones. It's a big deal. This year, however, it's an even bigger deal. It's a little more special than usual. The cohort of students who have completed the Community Studies major this year began their studies during a very dark time when the program was, frankly, all but left for dead. Formally suspended from accepting any more students other than the ones in the pipeline, so to speak, with no hope really of continuing beyond the end of this month, 2 weeks from now. Things were looking very grim for Community Studies, and yet the students who have completed the major today, whom we're honoring today, had social justice passions and goals they wish to pursue through coursework and full-time field study, the sort of thing you can really only do in the Community Studies major at UCSC. And so they entered the major, perhaps even against their better judgment, perhaps the better judgment of their parents, even, who might be in the room. This time last year, when these students were embarking on their full-time field studies, it looked like they would be the last to do so. That this would today be the last Community Studies graduation ever. That would have made today pretty special. But what makes it way beyond special is the news just recently received that the Community Studies major has been reinstated on campus. And now I'm going to turn the podium and the microphone over to my colleague, Julie Guthrie.
Well, I'm honored, very honored, to be introducing the Bill Freeland Award. So Bill, as you've already heard, was one of the co-founders of the department. And those who don't know the history of this department, I'll make it, or the major, I'll make it very brief. And that is that when, in the late 1960s, when students were coming to Santa Cruz and very much wanted to be involved in social change and social justice work, they went to Bill and said, how can we do this and get a degree at UC Santa Cruz? And that was the founding of the Community Studies major, where the idea was that students wanted to go out in the field and do good work, but it had to be backed by rigorous academic work. And so this major, which has evolved in many different ways over the last 43 years at this point, 43 years, has always been about combining rigorous scholarship with dedicated social justice activism. And so the Bill Freeland Award was established to recognize a student or students who best kind of encompass what the dual goals of the major, both rigorous scholarship and dedicated social justice work. And so this year, the awardee is Wiscons. Let me say, before he comes up here and gets the award. I actually met Lucas fairly late in the process of the student. He enrolled in my analysis of field materials course in the winter, and just this spring took my globalization and discontents class. For some odd reason, he decided to take it pass no pass, even though he did absolutely stellar work in the course. Anyways, I can now say that he's a fantastic scholar. And not only does he just nail his answers, but he's engaged. He's very generous in an analysis of field materials. We do a lot of course discussion, and he was very much in the game and encouraging other students in the class to really draw out their own ideas and analysis. He's reflective. He's insightful. And most important in terms of what he is in the classroom, he's what every professor wants, a really good head nodder. Yeah, so great. So thank you for that. And also in terms of the kind of scholarship he did at the university, he really took just so many important courses relative to community studies and his other major, sociology. You know, that other major. But really took advantage of so much of what UCSC has to offer. But indeed, Lucas also fits the other half of the bill as a great activist. Since he's gotten here, he's just been involved in all sorts of things. He helped coordinate, for example, a Social Justice Unlocked Education, Equity, and Empowerment Day. He also helped organize, or led, I should say, the College 8 Earth Day event, which focused on environmental justice and the rights of agricultural workers in the U.S. He was a residential assistant at College 8, and he chose to focus all of his programs on making social justice more approachable for new students. He was a facilitator of the Residential Life Council on campus. He was a College 8 senator. He was a College 8 student representative to the Academic Senate. And amidst all this work, he's received a number of honors and awards. He was in the best environmental, he got the best environmental justice program, the best social justice program from College 8, and he also was a Welsh Scholarship nominee. But I think what most captures this combination of scholarship and activism was through Lucas's field study with URISE. And URISE is an organization that has been working with dreamers, undocumented immigrants, trying to get documentation to continue on in their scholarly life. Let me say a little bit about his work at URISE. And in the vein of what Mary Beth was just doing, let me read some of the comments that he received. There were a lot of them, but let me read some of the comments he received from his supervisor there. Through his internship, Lucas Wiscons has proven to be a very valuable addition to URISE. From his very first day, he has wholeheartedly undertaken any task or challenge that has been presented to him. He has consistently shown himself to be organized, thorough, mindful, and creative in his approach to solving problems. Here's what's, I think, really important here. His understanding of the struggles faced by immigrants and the complexity and capriciousness of immigration law and policy has greatly increased. His understanding of the immigration system has given him the ability to identify and address social misperceptions about immigrants, their role in society, and their contributions to the economy versus accusations of them as being a drain on social services. It has allowed him to better express how immigrants are often abstracted from their humanity when discussed in media, particularly in presidential election years. This understanding created a strong this understanding that was in part gleaned from his incredible coursework. They don't say that, I said that. This understanding created a strong foundation from which Lucas was able to work on a wide variety of projects. Those that are clearly direct social justice, as well as those that create and maintain the infrastructure of an organization which does social justice work. So here again, you see this community studies curriculum in there, getting the kind of topical concern of immigration, but also really contributing and understanding something about organizational dynamics. Finally, Lucas's professionalism and work has gained notice within the immigrant rights community of San Diego County. It is not often that an intern leaves as an indelible of a mark on an agency or community as Lucas has. So this is all we can hope for in a community studies student, and I very much want to bring Lucas up here and congratulate him.
Hi, my name is Lucas Wiscons. I worked with an organization called URISE in San Diego County. We focused on legal services for immigrants and refugees. And I joined them at a really exciting time. A new program been announced called DACA, which is a deferred action program, which gives kind of young non-criminal history immigrants a path to kind of protection from deportation. It's a very problematic program, but that was part of the work that we did, was making sure that the people who engaged in that program knew about its problematic nature.
Here comes Luke. Stand up, Luke. Stand up.
This year's recipients of College 8 honors. Will Lucas Wiscons and Jacqueline Lopez please come forward? College 8 honors is given in recognition of the exemplary leadership, community service, and academic achievement that these students have demonstrated during their time at UCSC. Lucas and Jacqueline are also our student speakers today, so you'll be learning more about them shortly. Our second speaker today is Lucas Wiscons. Lucas came to UCSC determined to understand why the world is so full of injustice. Through his two majors, sociology and community studies, he has acquired many insights and a much deeper appreciation of the complexities that make up our society and world. As he graduates today, he admits that he, and I quote him, still does not have the answer to my questions, and now has even more than when I began college. However, the questions I have now are more important and useful. For his required community studies field study, Lucas recently returned from 6 months in San Diego County, working on migrant justice at the Unitarian Universalist Refugee and Immigrant Services and Education Program, a nonprofit legal service provider for immigrants and refugees. During the field study, he planned and organized workshops that provided free legal services to hundreds of immigrants and refugees in Southern California and Arizona. UURISE has hired Lucas as a part-time program assistant, a position he will return to full-time after graduation. Lucas has been a valued and committed member of our College 8 community, the college's student life staff, and the College 8 Senate. He's been an exemplary resident assistant, co-chair of the campus-wide Residential Life Council, and College 8 representative to the Academic Senate. And just yesterday, much to his surprise, Lucas was named recipient of the William Friedland Award, named after the founder of the Community Studies Department. It is given in recognition of the student who best exemplifies the social and academic commitment of the Community Studies Department. Today he graduates with honors in Community Studies and highest honors in Sociology, a representation of his commitment to social justice and recognition that the path he is choosing will offer a lifelong challenge. I give you Lucas Wiscons.
I look out from this stage and I am humbled. Before me, I see the people who have made me the person that I am today. I see my family, my friends, my peers and my mentors, many of those categories overlapping, of course. I see my drive, my inspiration, and my grounding. I, and we graduating here today, owe our commencement to all of you. One of the most important things that I have learned at this university is that learning is about so much more than attending class. Learning is about opening your mind to new ideas, new possibilities, and new challenges. What is the most important thing I've learned in college? That learning is important and a lifelong commitment. From my professors, I have learned how to think more critically and how to approach the discouragingly massive and complex social, political, and economic crises of our time.
I've learned the importance of integrity and honesty in the pursuit of knowledge. And I have learned that learning is a much greater project than developing knowledge for the sake of knowledge. I have learned that the future is ours and that in order to steer ourselves towards a more equitable and sustainable path, we must engage in the development and refinement of knowledge. Thank you to my professors. From my peers, I have learned about the incredible diversity of experience that this university houses. I have learned that my own experiences, while valid, are only small pieces of the puzzle that... Sorry, let me try that one more time. I've learned that my own experiences, while valid, are only small pieces of the puzzle when trying to truly understand our modern social contexts. I have learned that I am not always right. In fact, I am much more often wrong. And I have learned the importance of asking questions, and even more importantly, how critical it is to hear all responses carefully, compassionately, and critically. Thank you to my peers. From my family, I have learned how to accept support and that it's okay to ask for help. I have learned that no matter what I do in my life, no matter what path I choose, I will be loved unconditionally. I have learned that I am important in the life of someone else and that I deserve love. I have learned that I am valued, and I have learned that I bring joy to people. Thank you to my family. From my friends, I have learned how to be genuine, the importance of having support in times of need, the amount that can be emotionally gained through giving emotionally, and most importantly, I have learned how to love without shame. I have learned how to enjoy life, take breaks, and how to have fun. I have learned that life is about finding balance and that finding balance is impossible alone. Thank you to my friends. And thank you to everyone who is here today to celebrate the commencement of the class of 2013. My name is Wiscons. I am one of many students graduating from this university in College 8 this weekend. I am incredibly honored and humbled to have been chosen to give this speech today. I thought very long and very hard about what this speech should be about. We are indeed celebrating the end of a chapter of our lives, but more importantly, we are celebrating the commencement of a new one full of opportunity and possibility. Our paths to this stage here today were not easy by any stretch. Each one of us has taken a different route to this point. Each one of us has faced a unique set of challenges that define us and will define our futures. Struggles against discouraging economic conditions, physical, mental, and emotional health, discrimination based on identity, varying level of supports from friends and family, varying quality of pre-college education, death, life, and many more categories that can be named here are represented in this class today. Battles against rising fees, diminishing class availability, larger class sizes, hate within our communities, and fear about our futures have been and are being fought by this graduating class. But despite the diversity of our experiences, we all share something. Through our struggles, we have been strengthened, and through our battles, we have been tempered, and we have endured. Our struggles and our battles are not over, but our endurance makes us stronger. Our struggles, especially the economic ones, are unprecedented. We are both participants in and victims of the incredibly violent set of political and economic systems that govern our society. These same systems and the logics that govern them are responsible for the disenfranchisement of billions around the world. We did not create these systems. No one person or group did. The creation of these systems was not inevitable, but rather the result of our forebears putting too much faith in the ability of a free market to fairly distribute resources. The systems that we are struggling and fighting against today are the result of generations before us losing faith in the ability of the government to do good and a new belief in the free market as a natural and scientific force rather than the social construction that it truly is. The point? These systems were created out of a particular set of ideas gaining popularity. What we believe influences how we act, and how we act influences how we interact. Popular ideas are powerful enough to share and change the world. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but in our time at this university, our work has been focused on learning how to evaluate ideas critically and productively, and learning how to think and engage in the project of building knowledge. we have been and are being taught how to produce and refine ethical and useful ideas. Some of the ideas that are going to define the next chapter of the human experience are most certainly present here today and will continue to be developed tomorrow and into the future. Our future is not inevitable. There is no reason why our children and our grandchildren should face the same struggles and battles that we have endured. And it is with that realization that we become responsible for the future. Many of us did not know that when we entered this university that we were indeed also taking responsibility for the future. But we should have. We know that knowledge is power, and forgive me for this one, but to paraphrase Uncle Ben from Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. This responsibility is one of a higher order than we are used to. When we do not do the dishes, our homework, or take out the trash, there are immediate, perceivable consequences. Others hold us accountable. No one is going to hold us accountable to our responsibility to equitable change but ourselves. There will often be no perceivable consequences for disengaging from our work towards social good. Frequently, in fact, we will be rewarded for working for the moment rather than the future. And this is why the systems we live in are so dangerous. We are encouraged every single day to put the immediate ahead of the forthcoming. Do not mistake me for saying we should only live for the future. In fact, I believe we should live for the moment, but our actions in the moment should represent our vision for the future. All of you here in attendance today are witnesses to our commitment and acknowledgement of this new responsibility. For the sake of ourselves, our children, and all future human generations, please help us stay committed and accountable. We did not create the complex social and cultural systems that are the source of mass disenfranchisement experienced across the world today. But as students of this university, of our families, of our friends, and of our peers, we have the capacity to produce the ideas and knowledge that will be responsible for the social and cultural forms future humanity takes. John F. Kennedy gave a speech in 1962 calling the American populace to engage in something that at the time seemed impossible: sending humans to the moon. Excuse me, sorry. Let me try that one more time again. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do these other things, he proclaimed, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and which we intend to win. Creating an equitable and sustainable future is our generation's equivalent of going to the moon. Indeed, it is, realistically, a much greater challenge. It seems impossible, and we're not exactly sure what it means or what we'll find when we get there, but we know it is important. And in that spirit, we walk across this stage not to signify the end of our struggles and battles, but rather to show our commitment to them. We commit today, here and now, never to give up on the pursuit of a more just, more equitable, and more sustainable world, regardless of the barriers we encounter. We acknowledge today, here and now, that the path to a better world is not an easy one. We proclaim today, here and now, that we understand that perseverance, persistence, and some patience will be required to truly make a difference. And we take responsibility today, here and now, for the power that comes with our knowledge and the agency it gives us in imagining our future. We make these commitments not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Thank you.